Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Wolfpacker Show. My name's Ethan McDowell, and I'm joined, as I always am, by Noah Fleischman. We're here to recap what was a very eventful game between NC State and UVA. Noah and I got back from Charlottesville probably about an hour ago. It was a quick trip, quick turnaround for us. Made it up to Charlottesville, and you know, really my first time up there. Really, really cool stadium. I enjoyed covering the game there. They have an open air press box. The only other press box in the ACC that does that is, I believe it's Clemson and Wake Forest, or maybe Georgia Tech has one. But so that was cool. Is it more experience? You feel more in the crowd. So I really enjoyed it. Noah, that was your second time there as well. So yeah, we're going to dive into this game. We're going to go through the highlights, the key moments. And before we do that, just want to give out a couple housekeeping items. First, this is the Wolfpacker Show. It's a part of the Wolfpacker.com on the On3 network. It's $1 to subscribe to our website. That gives you premium access to our message board, our analysis for football and basketball, wrestling, all sorts of sports at NC State, and recruiting across football and basketball as well. So, hey, it's going to be a eventful next couple months for basketball recruiting potentially. Noah's really hitting the ground running on that. So, $1, you can lock in for that. I'll have you covered on the football side of things. And then, of course, it's ACC play. We're off and running. You saw how exciting it's going to be for the rest of the season, and that's how it's going to be. So $1, subscribe, lock in with the wolfpacker.com. If you're watching on YouTube, the link to join is in the description for this video. And also, before we dive in, just want to give us a shout out to our sponsor, the Game Time app. It's a ticket buying and selling marketplace where, no, if you're like me, I wait to the last minute to buy tickets. It's an issue. It gets me in trouble sometimes with some late price hikes. But the Game Time app is kind of nice. They have cheap tickets right up until kickoff, first pitch, what the start time for your concert, like really whatever you're looking for. And easy app to download. You can get it on your phone. And by far, my favorite thing about the app, and I'll hold it up to the screen here if you're watching on YouTube, is you can see the view from your seat. Which that's nice because some other sites you have to look up your seat, then you have to look up the view from the seat, and it's a whole thing. Game Time streamlines that process for you, makes it really easy. So check it out and use Wolfpack. That's all caps Wolfpack on your first purchase for $20 off. I got the deal right this time. It is $20 off your first purchase. So go check it out. You download the Game Time app, available on Apple or Google Play stores, and or go to gametime.co. It's not .com, it's .co. And yeah, all right. Let's dive into this, Noah. 24-21, final score. That is not close to either of our predictions going into this game. So I think it's safe to say this game did not go as we expected it to. I want to preface it by saying I think this might be a little more of an optimistic take than most fans are feeling about this game. It's a win in the ACC on the road. That's tough. It's difficult to win on the road in the ACC, even when you're playing a team like Virginia that is winless. I mean, shoot, you saw that with Florida State last week. They barely won at Boston College, and Florida State, they're one of the best teams in the ACC, maybe the country. So you leave Charlottesville with a win. You got to be happy. Dave Dorn told us as much in the post-game press conference. It is difficult to win in this league. You got to be happy with the wins you get. Does that mean we have to be happy with the process? No. And it's fair to say there are significant concerns for NC State going forward with some of the stuff that we saw out there. But Noah, just your initial thoughts on the win over UVA and any takeaways you have from that matchup.
Yeah, it was a really up and down game. I mean, NC State, jumped out, scored. If you let Virginia kind of just hang around, I mean, they had multiple times, in the fourth quarter that they, offense could put Virginia away. You just need to get a couple first downs and the game is over. They couldn't really move the ball. That's a concern, right off the bat. In the fourth quarter, Virginia looked like they wanted the game more, right? They looked like they wanted to win the game more than NC State did, and it showed on the field. But NC State's defense bailed them out. And then penalties really bailed NC State out the most on Virginia, really just getting some, undisciplined penalties. They had one before their 2-point conversion. They convert a 17-yard 2-point conversion, and then they get one after that, which backs them up, allows Julian Gray to, get a good kick return. And then the rest is, history. They just move the ball 15 yards and kick a field goal. But a penalty also helped them do that too. So it helped to make a 48-yard field goal, 33-yarder, a lot easier to hit, and they win the game. So that's what you see right off the bat. Takeaways: running backs is a concern right now. You lose Jordan Houston. Kendrick Raphael is banged up. You don't know what his status is going into Louisville week. I guess we'll find out more on Monday on him. And then you look, Michael Allen's running the ball well, and then they just stopped going to him. And they just kind of abandoned that, let Brennan, really take over his legs, which worked. But, you want to be able to run the ball with a running back too and not have your quarterback take 20 hits a game when he's running the ball. The defense played well. Special teams was the best part of the game. They've made all of their kicks. Punting was amazing. Return game was good. So I think that, it's really the offense is kind of the concern, heading into week 4 with Louisville coming to town. The ACC home opener of 2023, which would be exciting. It's going to be a packed crowd, blackout. It's going to be a fun atmosphere, and hopefully NC State can put a product on the field that that will be good with that atmosphere. Because if they come out like they did against UVA, I think the Cardinals will have run all over them.
And it's tough because the defense, NC State holds itself, and as a result, the media and the fans holds NC State's defense to a very high standard. They're one of the best in the ACC over the past few years, if not the best. This year, they're still really, really good. They're just having a little more issues with tackling than they had last year. Little issues, filling run gaps and limiting big plays. That was still an issue. I believe it was 6 big plays by UVA through the air on Friday. Yeah, it was 6 and then 4 rushing. So that's 10 total plays of 10 yards or more by the Cavaliers. It's not what you want against a Cavaliers offense, but they played well, and they like you mentioned, they gave the offense 2 chances in the fourth quarter to fully put it away. Bishop Fitzgerald with just like an acrobatic, just perfectly timed batted ball that was intercepted on a diving catch by Sean Brown. Like, man, that was one of the better plays from the defense we've seen all season. That was really impressive from a safety duo that's been asked to do a lot more than maybe originally expected going into this season. So they looked great. That's worth touching on as well. Like the secondary was just banged up. The safeties, like you're obviously missing Jakeem Harris. Devin Boykin goes out really early in the game. And Cecil Powell came in to play safety, and then he got hurt too. So it's tough. You're playing backup safeties. You have Bishop Fitzgerald playing a safety position that Coach Doran said that he didn't even practice in this week. And it's just like, man, all of that considered, it's not a half bad outing by the Wolfpack defense. You hold them to 21 points. That's pretty good. But the offense, that part of complementary football was not working. The defense was doing its part. The offense couldn't support it. We talked last week after VMI about how it was encouraging to see these long drives that were spanning 12, 15 plays because you can't rely on explosive plays solely in ACC play. Well, NC State kind of had to. They kind of had to rely just on Kevin Concepcion just breaking off these huge plays. Armstrong finding him up the seam for these massive plays. Like, against a team better than Virginia, that's not going to work. Like you said, against Louisville, like if they're relying simply on 3 to 4 explosive passing plays in a game, it's not going to happen. Coach Doran, I think he mentioned in the post game that he needs to see a little bit more of a consistent rushing attack, and we'll see where they find that. Especially, this is our, I believe this is our first podcast after the Jordan Houston news broke. Did we discuss that earlier in the week? No. So Jordan Houston, for those who didn't see, I'm sure everyone's seen by now, but he's redshirting this season. He will not play the remainder of the year with the Wolfpack. So that running back room, it already wasn't that deep. Now it's even thinner. So you're looking at a scenario where Brennan Armstrong's your leading rusher, and it might be that way. Noah, we've talked a good bit about the running backs. If Where do you see the NC State's ground production coming from for the rest of the season? And is it going to be enough to not even become a great offense, just a solid offense that can complement what has been a good defense and outstanding special teams?
Yeah, I think, it's going to start with Brennan Armstrong. I mean, when they needed to run the ball against, Virginia on Friday night in the last drive where they kicked the field goal, they kept it in his hand 3 straight runs, and he picked up 8 yards, and a handful just to, move the ball to the middle and you have a better kick. So I think that says a lot about where they think this running game is at currently, because obviously nothing else is working. Kendrick Raphael looked good. He's banged up though, as we said earlier. So I think he can become a pretty big part of this offense, and Michael Allen can too. I mean, they both looked great in their limited action. They're playing a lot with Delbert Mims, who he had that short yardage back kind of vibe going early, but they're running with him, but it didn't really work, and they kind of stopped that. So I think if you get a healthy Kendrick Raphael back, you're going to just have him with Michael Allen and hope that you can keep him healthy on the field, or you're going to have to rely on Brennan Armstrong, and that'll work. But at the same time, you're putting him in harm's way, and if he gets hurt, then not only are you losing a veteran quarterback, which I don't think that is the biggest. It's a pretty big deal, but you have a guy who can play in MJ Morris, which a lot of people want to see him play, but you're going to lose your leading rusher, and MJ Morris isn't Brennan Armstrong when it comes on the ground. So that's kind of the biggest thing. So I think he's the answer on the run game for now. Obviously, they want to fix that, because if teams can figure out that all you're going to do is going to run your quarterback, then they're going to figure out pretty quickly.
Agreed. Yeah, and I thought it was pretty telling on that last drive specifically, where they just kept it in his hands. Based on how they described it in the post-game press conference, it sounded like the first play was a designed pass and he took off, but then the last two were just designed quarterback runs, and he did a good job of that. I mean, shoot, he got him into field goal range, and we'd be remiss also if we don't mention Braden Arvison, the game winner. Just I cannot imagine getting my first kick blocked and then having to go back out there and then have to kick a game-winning field goal like 5 minutes later. So hats off to him. Great kick. It looked like NC State was headed to overtime there, but good to in that game and not give the Cavaliers that chance, because they had a lot of momentum. And also, just on the same special teams vibe, just Caden Noonkester. Holy crap. I think we'll talk about him more later in the show, but just flipping the field, tied a career long with a 67-yard boot. And Julian Gray, again, on a kickoff return, 35 yards, took advantage of a penalty, and made it happen. So, Noah, what's one play, like one series, just one key moment from this game that really sticks out to you as okay, this is when the momentum turned towards NC State, or just something that you're going to take away from this game? One drive, play, anything.
Yeah, I think, it comes in the first quarter, or, the second quarter maybe. It was the first half. Brendan Armstrong, first 2 drives, not good. Inaccurate, all over the place. 2 for 6 for 9 yards. Comes back out for that third drive, settles in, goes 4 for 5 for, I think, 41 yards and a touchdown. I think that drive is a pretty big turning point. He was kind of shaky the whole game, but I think that one showed that he could play and that he could lock in and lead them on a drive. Ended with the Kevin Concepcion first career touchdown, which is great to see from him as well. And then, I think that's kind of the one where gives him a little bit of confidence in, like, okay, you can shake off the rough start, come back out, play almost perfectly, hit 3 really good throws on that drive, thread the needle on 1 through 2 defenders to punch it in there. And I think that's kind of what they want to see more from Brendan Armstrong, not the 15 incompletions he threw with the pick. I think you're really looking for that. There's 15 completions he had, out throughout the game, and it really started on that drive where he kind of found a rhythm a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was kind of just a weird game for him. Obviously, it was an emotional game. He was going back to Charlottesville for the first time, and where he played for 5 seasons. And that was a big moment for him. And it was a weird hot and cold game. In some moments, he was looking fantastic, and some he was throwing his one interception on the day, which was just a really poor ball. Not really sure what happened on that play, but you know, it's kind of just more of the same from what we've seen so far this season from him. He's going to make some really, really good plays. He's a tough quarterback. He's a good leader for the team, but his arm is going to lead to some turnovers, some inaccurate throws at times, and that's just how it's going to be, I think, a little bit this season. My turning point of the game, I wanted to go with the the series of penalties there at the end, because we talked to Peyton Wilson after the game, and he was telling us just how like UVA, they were just trying to, you know, bring emotions over the top a little bit. They're playing a little bit dirty. Wilson was saying he specifically shouted out one player in particular. If you want to go listen to his post-game press conference, he mentioned one person in particular on UVA's offense was playing a little dirty. There's a video of someone online. Online, you can see a video of someone putting their hand into his face mask. But the key was, like, UVA had some critical personal foul penalties down the stretch there, right? But NC State kept its composure. They did not retaliate. They, like, Davin Van got headbutted, I believe, and he didn't do anything. That NC State took the personal foul on UVA, and that keeps it from offsetting and just kind of wiping that off the board. And NC State made UVA pay for those mistakes, and that's a large part of the reason why this game was decided in regulation instead of overtime. Because the first one, like I mentioned, the UVA scores a touchdown. Davin Van gets headbutted, and that knocks them back to the 17 or 18 for their 2-point conversion try. I mean, shout out to UVA's quarterback, Anthony Calandria. He delivered a strike to convert that 2-point try. But I think 9 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10, that team isn't going to be able to convert a third or 2-point try from the 17-yard line against NC State. So it was a good job there. And then the second one, like, if you go back and watch the video, I'm not really sure what Calandra could have done, but his helmet was coming off. It comes off, and he ends up getting called for a personal foul penalty for. Did they call it unsportsmanlike conduct?
Yeah, I think it's technically it's ruled as unsportsmanlike conduct because obviously you're taking your helmet off. Usually it's in celebration, you're running around yelling, so that's kind of what the rule is when you take your helmet off on the playing surface.
Yeah, what it looked like on the field, from those who haven't seen it or haven't seen the replay, is like his helmet was already most of the way off as he fell to the ground, and then he just took it the rest of the way off. But helmet's off. They called it personal foul, and that's what had them kicking from their own 20-yard line. And shoot, you give Julian Gray that much space to work with. He doesn't need that much space. So you give it to him, he's going to take it, and good things happen for the Pack there. All right. I guess we're at a point now. Like, we can start to go through our game balls. Noah, you have a full game balls article up on the website. I encourage everyone to go check that out on the wolfpacker.com. Noah does a great job. It's like an instant reaction piece. He gives out his players of the game. One of the better post-game content items we do on the wolfpacker.com. But Noah, let's hear it. Your first player of the game.
Yeah, I'm going to pick, a guy that I put in the game balls last night, that we got right up after the game. And, I think Caden Fordham played, out of his mind. He played 11 to 12 tackles, I believe. His career high coming into today was 5, which he had against Notre Dame. This is a guy who was last year on special teams, the year before redshirted. So this is his first opportunity of playing. He started in place of Devon Betty because of, he had a kid this week. And it's good to hear that, but he just wasn't at practice. Yeah, no, congrats to him, having a daughter this week, and that's awesome to hear. But, he just wasn't practicing. So it's next man up, and Fordham is that guy. And it's kind of funny. He looks like a mini Peyton Wilson sometimes on the field. Some things, aren't, as cleaned up. But, I think other times, he's really good at tackling. He showed that against NC State. You look at his PFF, he had an 88.6 grade on run defense against Virginia, really helping hold them, to a low. That's the second highest on the team behind Peyton Wilson, who had a 90.4. So I think that's
Whoa.
really good to see from a guy who is, hasn't played a lot on defense at NC State, comes in a conference game and plays his best, college football game of his career.
Yeah, and I just loved how he's fitting the run. Like that's something that NC State struggled a little bit with early. And like it just seems like every gap he's in there. Like he is meeting the running back at the line of scrimmage, knocking them back. And you know, he's not perfect. He had his own personal foul penalty late in the game that was pretty egregious. It should not have happened. It's just a late hit. But he's going to keep growing. Peyton Wilson was talking about him in the press conference, just a huge smile on his face, just about how much Caden has grown. So he has a bright future at NC State, and I think this performance kind of signaled that future starts now. I think we're going to see that there's 4 linebackers that are going to see a lot of time for the Pack. Honorable mention. Just wanted to mention Jalen Scott. I think after a rough Notre Dame game, he strung together 2 really, really good games. I just like what I'm seeing out of him as well. Defending the run, making some plays. He almost had an interception, I believe, this game. So, all right. I'm going to go with the obvious one. I'm going to go with Kevin Concepcion. I mean, we were talking about it. Like, we don't want to call this his breakout game. I don't, because he broke out quite frankly, the moment he stepped on campus. He's been that guy since January. But all the buzz has been around him constantly. That's why we were talking in the offseason about, hey, like, look out, like he might not only play, he might start. And well, look, here he is. He is leading NC State in targets with 22 on the season. Next closest is Julian Gray with 7, I believe. So he's the number 1 receiver in Raleigh, and this time last year he was playing high school football. So just huge testament to KC. In this game in particular, it was I believe, was it 6 catches for 116 yards?
Yeah, 6 catches on 10 targets, 116 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, so he got into the end zone twice. There was a cool anecdote that he shared after the game that he smiled real big, and he said it was an awesome moment. Couldn't really put it into words, but he's taken that first touchdown ball to his mother, and just thought that was cool moment. And I mean, he was tough to cover, and we mentioned it in the preview pod. Like UVA had not defended slot receivers very well to start the season, so we were looking at that as a potential matchup that NC State could exploit. And shoot, they sure did. On the first touchdown, it was like a little fake screen action, and then he went into the end zone, and Armstrong found him on the second one. Casey got open down the seam. Armstrong finds him, and then he weaves his way, around a great block by Porter Rooks, and reaches the end zone. So, he took it to another level on Friday. It's not a breakout, but he took it to another level. We were talking about it earlier, Noah. It seems like, he pretty much has that ACC Rookie of the Week locked up. I wouldn't be surprised if he also ends up being the Receiver of the Week. So we'll see what happens there. But great game for KC. He has fully arrived as NC State's number 1 receiver this season. And no, I guess just moving forward to the next player of the game, just who gets your second game ball?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Davin Van. He didn't, light up the stat sheet in any way with tackles or anything. But if you look at it, look into what he did. 6 quarterback hurries against the freshman quarterback Anthony Calandria. He was in the backfield a lot, and he's getting there. Calandria is able to just, as a very mobile quarterback, able to just, evade the pocket and move from the pressure. But 6 quarterback hurries in a game like that, I think you take that. That's definitely worthy, of a guy that's really a standout performer, for the Wolfpack.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And I'm going to cheat with my second selection here for my last game ball and give it to 2 people. Same unit, defensive lineman. I thought Savion Jackson was awesome, disrupting UVA's rushing attack. He had 5 total tackles, 1 for loss, and it was it was it was his best game of the season in my opinion, and just the way he was just consistently disrupting things. It's the Savion Jackson that everyone at NC State has become used to seeing, especially pre-injury. So it was great to see him kind of get back to that form. And then somebody that I've been talking about since he committed to NC State last fall, Red Hibbler. Um, he just adds the pass rushing element to this defense that is just electric. He's coming off, and it's tough to rack up a lot of sacks in NC State's current like 3-3-5 system as a defensive lineman. But shoot, he's already up to what I believe it's like 2.5 or 3 on the year, and he had 1.5 last night, and he just uses his speed. I think he's probably him or Davin Van is probably pretty close. The quickest defensive lineman in the room. And yeah, just causing total chaos in the backfield. Having Red in your lineup is just such an asset to have a change of pace guy to come in and slide Davin Van into nose tackle on passing downs, have Red come off the edge. It's cool. It adds another interesting element to Tony Gibson's defense, which is already really fun. And yeah, really, really liked what I saw out of him. All right. Well, Noah, we're going to get ready to wrap things up here relatively soon, but we do want to look forward a little bit because, like we said, obviously we touched on the positives and the negatives. Moving forward, Louisville's up next. Another Friday night game under the lights at Carter Finley Stadium. I think the team will be very amped for that game, and it just has like that feeling like we're a third of the way through the year. And it just feels like one of those games that could really set the tone moving forward. Louisville's a good team, and they could definitely beat NC State at home. I would not be surprised if the line on this game is very, very close in NC State's favor, or Louisville even gets a point or two as a road favorite. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. We'll break it down a ton throughout the week, of course. So we're not going to get into like the Louisville matchup, but no, just a couple things you're thinking of heading into Louisville week and that game against the Cardinals.
Yeah, I think there's, a handful of things you can look at, right? Running back, we already touched on that's probably priority A on figure out what's up there, whether, health wise, plus, how is NC State gonna try to deploy their running backs a little bit differently to, get more effectiveness out. Two is, what is Dylan McMahon's status look like? He's a quick healer, but he was kind of hobbling around on the sideline at UVA. He had a brace on his right knee, and it's there to basically keep his leg straight. He obviously, I think, wanted to be out there. He didn't, when he walked by me, it didn't look like he was, happy. He's a happy guy to be out there, but I think he really misses playing and being out there, and that would help, strengthen NC State's offensive line. Bring him back, let Lyndon Cooper slide back to the guard, and have a really good, offensive front in front of Brennan Armstrong. And then third, it's kind of comes down to, can this offense play off the defense? The defense hasn't been the issue. It's kind of the offense isn't playing off of it. Of course, Notre Dame is behind it, but the past couple of weeks, defense has played lights out. They've done what they needed to do to keep NC State in the game, and then they really kept NC State in the game against Virginia because the offense could not move the ball in the fourth quarter. You take those 2 turnovers away, and I think Virginia walks out of there, with could be a multi-possession win, but instead, NC State, walks off with a field goal and does that. So good to see, but I want to see, I guess the offense really, find its rhythm, and it starts with the running back.
Yeah, and I wonder if we're just going to see. This is one of the biggest points for me, and something that Coach Doran kind of talked about is just further narrowing down the playbook a little bit. Kind of just narrowing down the scope of NC State's offense going into Louisville week, because he said, like, offensive coordinator Robert and he's going to look at what works, and he's not going to continue to try things that don't, right? So I think we're as the season goes on, we're going to continue to see the system get refined to NC State's strengths. I'm also looking forward to seeing how the receiver rotation gets changed. I think it's starting to narrow down just a little bit. We'll break down the snap counts and everything yesterday, but shoot, like we said, KC's number one guy. I think Bradley Rosner is going to keep getting snaps like more and more as we go on. Keon Lassane continues to be, one of the more targeted receivers on the team too. He's a reliable guy that he could have had a couple big plays in the UVA game as well if Armstrong had connected with him. So that's going to be something to watch. And then, I had the same point on health. Just Dylan, they could really use Dylan back. I didn't think the offensive line played poorly, to be honest. UVA sent a lot of blitzers, like all the time.
Yeah.
And, it was tough for NC State's offensive line to fully handle that, and they probably could have done a little better job of slowing them down. But I thought they kept Brennan pretty clean for the most part. So, but obviously adding your captain and your center back into the mix would be huge. And then in the secondary, what's Devin Boykin's status? He does so much for that defense. They really need him to be healthy. So hopefully that's not anything serious, and they'll get him back fairly soon. And that's pretty. Those are the main things I'm looking for. I think we're starting to realize more and more what NC State is this year. And we'll see how they adjust and grow over the next couple of weeks, and it'll be interesting to see. And all right, I believe that's it for us, Noah. We'll be back later this week to break down the matchup with Louisville in depth. Looking forward to that. And first the ACC game of the season at Carter Finley Stadium. It'll be a good one. Looking forward to seeing all of you NC State fans there. And thank you for watching or listening. If you are listening on a podcast platform, just a reminder, we're on YouTube. Please subscribe and, give us a like and leave a comment even. We'll respond. We'll have a conversation in the YouTube comment section if you want, if you agree or disagree with any of our points. And we're on the wolfpacker.com. Check it out, $1 to subscribe. And please check out our sponsor, the Game Time app. It's gametime.co. Ticket buying and selling marketplace makes it easy. You see the view from your seat. And all right, that's all, folks. Thank you for listening to the Wolfpacker Show.